Oh boy. Look what we got here. Friends, welcome back to the Brave New Wear Show. My name's Christian. If you need any more evidence that Hedi Salman is watching my videos and is responsible for the sassy comments when I talk about him, take a look at the new Spring-Summer 2021 collection from Celine. It is, in fact, an e-boy TikTok inspired collection titled The Dancing Kid. It's hard to believe, but honestly, I think it's kind of brilliant. I'm not gonna lie with you guys. I am not gonna lie. When I saw the collection after the immediate laughter, I was impressed and kind of uplifted. For one, just off the bat, we see a collection that is still very clearly Hedi Salman, but with silhouettes and shapes and styles that are a little more progressive, different. A little different than what he typically always steadfast sticks to. Not alien to his designs, but a little different. And I felt like socially obligated to talk about this collection, considering 2 months ago or whatever, I made a video talking about how Hedi Salman basically is never ironic in his design. And I made a video talking about TikTok boys, e-boys. And astute watchers will remember this part in my e-boys video. I mentioned this. Even if we think that they are immature, something to ridicule, something that is very shallow and maybe not appealing to us, it is still worth looking at, because strong designers will always look at the cultures and the movements of the youth in order to inspire their collections. The hippies, the punks, the grunge, the anything had always been seen in its time as immature and stupid. And it's only in retrospect that we give more credence to those groups. Naturally, you could say people like hippies or punks have a distinctive and concrete, like, political and social backing behind them, to which e-boys and TikTokers don't necessarily have. But I still think, and the reason I made the video, I still thought that there was the potential that whatever was going on there could be worth exploring and diving into, and that is exactly what Hedi Salman did with his new collection. Rather than pulling from like the 90s grunge or the 80s new wave, which was basically the fodder for most of Hedi's Celine collections, he instead pivoted and is looking directly at the boys of the 2020s, specifically with TikTok. And that is even more obvious with the music he chose for the video collection. Instead of doing something like alt rock or like shoegaze, which is almost always the soundtrack to Hedi's collections, he had, hip hop. It was specifically Tygas. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce his name. But I recognize the style from a really popular TikTok song, the one that's like the Oops Heart one. Something that Hedi Salman is really good at is making clothing that people want to wear. And I think that is kind of key to his subtle genius. What makes Hedi Salman such an interesting designer is that critics on both sides either love or hate him. They both have good points, but the reason that some critics love him is because his aptitude and eye for creating garments that people really, really want to wear. And it's not just a matter of this is an artistic expression. He makes clothes that people want to buy and put on their bodies, which I think is key and fundamental to kind of why he chose to do a TikTok collection. Hedi Salman is always kind of trying to pay attention to what people are interested in and what they will actually wear, and targeting specifically the youth, the teenagers, the ones who are dressing flamboyantly and paying attention to fashion is a strong move right now during the pandemic when everything is linked to the internet, and he is kind of signaling that it's important for him to capture the attention of these young men who will be the big spenders. I think Zoomers are expected to spend more on luxury fashion than even the millennials did. So let's look at literally what is he pulling directly from eBoys for this collection. The first one, very obvious, right off the bat. We've got necklaces with the lock in them. This is the Celine version of probably those cheap Taobao necklaces that all the eBoys wear. Which is, I mean, that's phenomenal. If he didn't just directly call the collection basically like the TikTok collection, those necklaces would have been the direct dead giveaway. There's even a look that's like the all-black suit Hedi Salman thing. It's like the Dior suit meets a TikTok boy. I don't know. I think that one of the interesting parts about it is it's kind of taking that style that I explored in my one video that's kind of like corny and shooting it through the prism of Hedi's capacity as like a stylist and as a designer, trying to make it as cool as possible. And I think another direct homage to kind of these youthful TikTokers is the pairing, or the mismatch pairing of clothing and garments. Like we saw a lot of looks with the models in like wool slacks that looked like they would belong in a suit with very casual tops, like things like big oversized sweaters or hoodies or these kind of like weird windbreaker jackets. That's an obvious kind of youthful homage. And another thing was the shorts with boots, which is like so clashing, but something a kid would do. So I think that there's interesting styling in that. Also, some of the hair feels very TikTok-y to me. Like, I think primarily like the two-tone hair seems like it a lot. The kid with blue hair, I feel like he was nailing that TikTok hair look. We also saw like legit classy streetwear styling. Like the collared shirt underneath like a sweater with like the chains, and even like the turtleneck underneath another top. That is like directly pulled from those Instagram posts. I think in a lot of ways the collection kind of channels an effortlessness of youth that is more eclectic than ever before. And that to me is why it definitely reads so much today's kids compared to like his other collections for Celine, which were very much more like 80s new wave dudes. These kids of today have so many more influences and inspirations and access to the internet that the wardrobe that Hedi Salman created for them kind of reflects that in a lot of ways. All right, so you guys, I mean, you guys want me to troll on it. You want me to like make fun of it. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to give you that I'm not going to give you that satisfaction. But I will give my critiques. I think off the bat, while I do think that this collection is the most different that Hedi Salman has made for Celine so far, it is a lot like his Spring-Summer 2016 collection for Saint Laurent, which isn't a bad thing. And I mean, it's a half critique. I'm just saying that these kind of sequins, these bright colors, and we're kind of seeing it again here. But, I mean, look at the collections back to back, and you can see how one is so clearly, like, that is that Saint Laurent look. It just has a little more color and it's a little more different. And this one, this collection, in the silhouettes and everything, is distinctive. It's not the same. Like, I don't think the looks would necessarily translate from one to the other. I'm uncertain / unconvinced that the collection does service to the source material in a significant way. You might argue that like there is no significance to the source material. It's TikTok kids, they just want attention. But other than a couple of like nods or suggestions of things, I didn't really see the Celine collection kind of exploring or diving deeper into what makes these kids kind of different. What makes this cultural or like aesthetic movement significant in some certain way. Like I said, you might argue that there is nothing there. There isn't any significance, but I would still argue that if you're going to take the time to make a collection about it, it would be interesting to see kind of a observation about the youth of today. Something that they're doing, or something they understand, or something they represent that can be better expressed in this kind of, this medium, this show, you know? That would have been kind of interesting. And I guess just for my taste, like, I didn't love all the boots. Like, some of them look like those ugly Doc Martens. A lot of the sneakers are, I mean, Hedi Salman, like, they look like SLP sneakers, a lot of them. But, you know, I wasn't thrilled by the way they looked. They kind of don't look interesting to me, personally. I guess some of them do kind of are reminiscent of Vans old schools, which are obviously very popular for e-boys. So there is that element. Additionally, like some of those like jackets and tops, some of the windbreaker ones, they look cheap. They don't look great. And I don't know what to make of that, because I know from experience that like Hedi Salman's coats or jackets are typically of like pristine quality. They are exceptional. Exceptionally overpriced, but still exceptional. And I wonder if these, you know, meet that standard, just because they don't look very expensive, some of them. But it's like, I think that this is also kind of a half critique, because one of my things, especially when I'm looking at a collection or art or whatever it is, whenever I'm looking at something aesthetic and visual, I try to hold back, I try to reserve kind of critiquing it and disliking it off the bat if I don't think it's like visually what stimulates me. Let me explain that a little more. Like if I see a runway show and I'm like, that's not my style, I don't really want to wear that, or I think that that kind of looks ugly, I reserve that kind of saying that it's bad. Because I think that some of the best collections, some of the best art, so to speak, is going to be immediately, it often has a bad taste. It often doesn't like flow with my current like ideas about what is cool and interesting visually. And that is sometimes a sign of something really good. So my point being, the weirdo like windbreaker jackets might have something interesting to them, especially when we start to see them like IRL, so to speak, or we start to see more of them. What pieces would I like personally wear? Would I take anything from this collection? I'll take anything. Hedi, if you are watching, which I know you are, you can send me anything, I will wear it. I did like that that like black and white sweater. I know he's done that kind of thing already, but I liked that sweater in this collection. I liked that like leopard print coat. That was cool. So what is my overall take of this collection? I think that it is, in a lot of ways, Hedi Salman being very astute at understanding who his customer is and who his potential new customer could be. He's creating clothes that are directly referencing what the young kids are interested in right now, and trying to create like garments, an aesthetic, a story that will sell to them. And I think without a doubt, this will be another strong selling collection from Hedi Salman. The other thing is this. So, I don't remember if it was in GQ or if it was in the interview that Mucha Prada did. But Raf Simons basically said this when he was asked about what he thinks of the designs of like Virgil Abloh or Kanye or like Demna. And Raph, in so many words, said that he didn't really care for Virgil's designs because what Virgil was doing was essentially copying what Raph had did in the early 2000s. And he didn't find it, he didn't think it was in the zeitgeist of compelling stuff. And I think the reason why is, like, if you look at like the Right collection that Raph did, he has expressed that he was directly inspired by the youth of that time. And he was trying to take that style and ideas that seemed weird and eclectic and controversial and to put it into a new medium and explore it in a certain way. He was taking what the youth was doing, what was on the cutting edge, and make a collection from it. Which is why he thinks that, Virgil kind of taking his ideas from like 10 years ago and making them into whatever isn't compelling. What Hedi Salman is doing right now is very similar. He's looking at the youth of today and trying to express that in some sort of way that could be valuable, interesting, entertaining, or at least new. And as long as designers are doing that, especially Hedi Salman doing that, I think it's a collection that is at least worth looking at, considering, and maybe, very, very much maybe, potentially elevating and celebrating in the future with some, retrospect. So that's what I think, guys. Those are my thoughts. If you liked the video, leave a like, because that helps me out. Write your comments down below. And be sure to subscribe if you are new to this channel, because I do weird stuff all the time and you don't want to miss it. And as always, with 100%, my patrons are my support group. So if you want to support this channel, if you want to keep this magic alive, I strongly encourage you to join the Patreon. The link is in the description down below. And this is my video, so I'm not doing a Sunday video unless I release this on Sunday. But either way, I will catch you guys soon. Peace out.